Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for an episode of the ICCN Podcast. I am Mr. Smith, and today I am in the presence of a very good friend of mine, Mr. BlueSkiesVienna. And thank you for taking the time out of your day, bro, to come together so we can talk some cannabis. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And thank you and congratulations on your first episode. And thanks for having me on as your first guest on your first episode, man.
Thanks, bro. And it's very exciting, especially to talk some cannabis with you, bro, because something that I've been wanting to do for a while now. Is there anything that you may have on your mind before I kind of get into some topics I have here?
No, man, I'm going to let you run the show, bro. I'm
All
sure I've got a
right.
lot of things on my mind, but they're not relevant.
All right. So back to how I discovered your uh your 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 work. So I was on the hunt for the skunk on on YouTube, looking up videos, trying to see if I could find anything out there, and forgot exactly what podcast I came across that you're in, but you're talking about how you had the actual RKS, and I've heard of RKS, you know, it being bred out, but that was just something that I felt like wasn't the case, and lo and behold, I have a couple of your beans popped. Don't have anything in flower yet, but I tell you what, I didn't really believe much in a stem rub until I got some of your stuff growing because these uh these stem rubs are pretty serious, pretty funky, kind of everywhere.
Is that currently now?
Yeah, right now we got four of the sweet and sours, and then
Okay.
four of the Turptown tickets, the 2.0s. And of course, like whenever I was doing the stem rub, because I know that you said in previous podcasts that you've had and people that you've talked to that have grown out your genetics, the stem rub changes.
Yep.
And bro, yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that because I swear that uh it had to have came from the Turptown ticket because I didn't look at the label, of course, whenever I smelled this one, but I could have swore I smelled that rubber um uh herb that you talk about here and there. Some of them are definitely, you know, whenever I say raunchy, like a lot of the times I feel like I am pointing more towards like the body odor type
Yeah.
smells and stuff.
Yeah.
So um definitely got that going on. Well, that brings me to the RKS that actually I popped before these because um I did pop some RKS, and one ended up being a male, but that male, man, like before it showed any sex traits, I was, be all excited, get down here, do a stem rub. Obviously, it's changing on me, but like anytime it would get real funky, I run up to my wife, you know, and remember one day she's like, "Man, that smells like meat." And I'm like, "Man, smelled
Sounds
it
like you
again."
got a meat skunk from the Tip Town Tickets 2.0, yeah? Oh, is it? Sorry,
Yeah,
you said it's from the RKS pack as well.
yeah.
A
RKS,
carcassy, meaty smell.
yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, I'm just really excited, bro, because
So, how
uh,
did that RKS turn out? It was a male. You didn't have any females.
well, yeah. So I had a male, and then I had two RKSs growing right next to each other. One was the male was growing a lot faster than the female, obviously. But so I threw it outside whenever I started seeing sacks on it. And the other RKS kind of tricked me. So I thought that. it was developing pollen sacs. But now I'm convinced that it's not, and it's getting hit out there with the lemongrass cilantro. Because the lemongrass cilantro I end up popping one of those, end up getting a mail from that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna cross this with, you know, the RKS out there. Why not? So
That sounds good.
yeah, man. And
So how's that female RKS smelling?
um, it's not really giving me much, but I haven't really been out there a lot to mess around with it. Other than just to kind of like mow around it the past couple of days. I haven't really been out there. It's been raining and it's just kind of like been letting it do its thing because the only time I really go out there is whenever um I water it, or whenever I find myself, strolling through the yard and going back there and, checking on everything. But with the neighbors around, don't want to be floating around there too much.
Well, the Tip Town tickets, if people don't know, this current version has 20 varieties in one pack. It's like a nod to the original Tip Town tickets that are released in 2020. And that had the offspring of 60 different unique mothers, skunks, hazes, beautiful heirlooms, all from all time in one, pollinated by one really nice classic skunk male. And that was an awesome pack. And then after the last season, I did a breeding session. I just made another pack by combining 20 varieties this time. So there's less kind of variety, as it were, but still a fair amount in there, different skunks, different hazes. There's a lot of blueberry skunk and blueberry haze. There's eucalyptus skunk and eucalyptus haze. There's some pure haze. There's some skunk haze. There's some frankincense haze. There's meat skunk, citrus skunk. There's the cherry oud musk in there. There's oh man, what else is the koala puke? There's a Vicks vapor rub skunk haze in there. It's just identical to Vicks vapor rub. What else did I put in there? There's some of the lemongrass cilantro that you mentioned is in there. Some of the sweet and sour. How's that sweet and sour you got going at the moment? What's that like? They look beautiful on the forum, but on the Telegram. But tell everyone else about it.
The structure on them is very beautiful. Can't really ask for a better, seedling or uh uh sorry, I'm walking over to the tent right now because I'm gonna do a stem rub and see if I can get anything off them. But I mean, I wish I had my video as well so I can kind of show everyone what we're dealing with because they are, just really beautiful and everything. But one second. See if I can get something.
I've got a Chinese lizard wine going at the moment, or a couple that are going 21 days, 22 days roughly from gym at the moment, and they're stinking already.
Yeah, bro. I saw that video that you had of and that kind of made me want to ask, are you more outdoors, more indoor, or
Well, in the UK, I don't really do anything. They're just to go out and about, just to for a bit of fun, really, and just to show people how quickly they develop. Just to make a little content. So they'll go out somewhere, but I wouldn't call it anything significant. Most of well, all my breeding is always done outside of the UK because UK shit climate, shit laws, shit places to grow, fucking hard to do anything on scale. Let's put it that way. Hard to do anything fun. What I consider fun and on scale. So I've always gone abroad to different countries where the climate is better and the situation more conducive to being able to pop large numbers or relatively large numbers.
yeah,
So yeah, when I'm in the UK, I don't really do anything. So when I'm when I need to make more seeds, I have to go outside of the UK and find somewhere appropriate again.
Man, I mean,
I mean, I could do a
that's
little, don't get me wrong, in the UK, but I just don't find it fun. I'm not, I just like doing sort of biggish things. I like it being a living, like a full-time job rather than a hobby.
right. Yeah, no, that's totally respectable. I mean, do you do the crosses yourself? Because I would imagine like if you're crossing them yourself outside of the UK, that'd be some work
Well, the
that you're
story
putting
of
in.
how I've done things is well known on the other podcasts. So I'll mention them quickly, and then we could do a little recap of how I created the seeds and the genetics. Yeah. So the other podcasts you can check out, they're now defunct pretty much, but the content is still up. Is the Old School Cannabis Project that I used to do with Rich. Rich is now a bit busy, so he doesn't have time to do that anymore. And then there's the other one, Prepared Farmer. Used to be called Skunk Fan Podcast. I think that's still named the podcast and all the graphics on there, but I think the channel's now called Prepared Farmer. So you can find the Skunk Fan Podcast there. And there was another one, but forget that one. And now we're doing this one, and probably we'll do a separate, more blue sky centered one. But this one, I'm just your guest, my friend. So anyway, the genetics, how they came about, as I say, you can find those stories on there. But long story short, in around 2016, 2015 was the first one, but 2016, I found a fair few little different skunks in some old timer one genetics. It was the ESB Hayes and the Lot 5. So what happened was a friend of mine who was a moderator on UK 420 gave me the seeds for ESB Hayes. And so I also bought the Lot 5 separately for the server auctions there. So I had those two. And around about 2009, I did a grow, and there was a male that I didn't spot in time. He pollinated. It was ESB Hayes male. He pollinated, some of the other plants in the room lightly. And so I ended up with some ESB Hayes F2s and some ESB Hayes cross lot 5s, which I didn't really do too much with then until around about 2015 when I grew a few out alongside some other things I was doing then. And I noticed some skunk there. And so I grew some more the following year and found further skunks and some nice things there. And yeah, then in 2017, uh, I started making seeds earlier in the year because it was an area where there was a lot of forest fires, and they started early that year, and they were all around the property and all around the area. So I was like, well, I know I've got some fucking awesome females that I'd kept some cuttings of from the previous year, some nice various different skunks and some other special little things. And I thought, well, if fire comes here and fucking burns those, then they're lost forever. So I best make some seeds and keep them off the property, which is exactly what I did. Made 9 different varieties, had an amazing male. He was like, I would like to find a male like that again. I've not really ever seen one since. Massive, huge, fucking 18-inch conical flowers, stank of lemon and turpentine, like, paint thinner. And it just awesome, just an awesome fucking male. And he pollinated those 9 different females, kept those seeds off the property. End of the year, end of the season comes, fire does come. This is a long story short. It's quite well known from the other podcasts. I ended up with severe burns, 75% third-degree burns, long time in hospital, coma, 6-week coma after being given 2 hours to live. Year in recovery, let's say. And then when I was able to walk again, I went and got my seeds. Went to Morocco and got a few big polytunnels going on over there. Kept my plants in veg, long with lights, long after all the other fucking plants in the area had flowered, because obviously it's a fucking area where other plants grow, being a hash producing region. But anyway, kept my stuff well past them. And then, yeah, made the very well known now at this point Boss Pack and the Tip Town Tickets, the original one. So I had 200 plants in those polytunnels, which I whittled down to about three males that I liked, and then ultimately down to one male and about 60 to 70 really beautiful females. Some incredible skunks encompassing the full spectrum of skunk tips from the chemical, stringent, nasty spray type, ammoniated spray types, through to the carcass, the rotten carcass, meaty, sort of savory end of the skunk spectrum. And then all the other things like fucking dog shit, cat piss, puke, vomit, vomit and body odor, like you alluded to earlier, all manner of disgusting tips. And then the other females had incredible fruit tips or just incredible unique features that I knew the modern gene pool was lacking and nothing else like them was out there. So basically, I had five different skunks that were all bangers, put those into what was known as the Boss Pack, the BlueSkiesVienna all-time one skunk selection pack. And then all the other females, I knew, they were special and had to be shared too. So all the seeds from those 60 odd females, which were still different skunks, but ones I just didn't put in the Boss Pack. And as I say, whole range of everything. We can discuss what's been found in those packs in a minute, but that's what made the Tip Town Tickets pack. 60 plus different mothers pollinated by the one skunk male. And those sold out, between sort of 2020 and 2023. And that did change the game. No matter, that's why I'm fucking so hated by a lot of these fucking bitches in the community. 110 Instagram accounts because the faggots thought they could stop me just by being snitches. Still going, still putting out skunk, still skunk being found in the packs every fucking day. Well, fucking not up for debate anymore. Well past the point of speculation, but you still got clowns like Kevin Jodrey who've done their best to hide their from their followers and from their audience, as it were, the knowledge of the existence of my skunks. He masquerades as some kind of guru and a pillar of the community. And really, he stopped countless people that he could have helped, patients, cancer patients, all kinds of people suffering. He could have helped by telling the truth about the genetics. Instead, he's done his best to lie. Same as that Matt Riot, that fucking fat loser that you listened to some shit about and heard about me and came on to me from that way. A lot of these shit talking idiots have done me favors. So many people have hit me up going, these twats talk so much shit about you. You clearly must have the skunk, and, hundreds. Well, let's say this 250,000 plus seeds at the moment, close to getting on to about 300,000 seeds, gone worldwide, 95 plus percent to America, but to about 30 countries. Excuse me, every fucking breeder you can think of out there is using my genetics. None of these fucking losers who've talked shit about me but suddenly found skunk, up their granny's asshole out of nowhere. Didn't have it in 2019. They're all crying on IC Mag, 200 long page threads on IC Mag. Skunk's gone, RKS is gone, doesn't exist no more, yada yada. First packs that ever made skunk available and guaranteed in every pack was the Boss Pack and the Tip Town tickets and Pheno Hunters before that, actually. So, yeah,
Wow.
testimonial. Sorry, bro, I just want to say testimonial beyond doubt, or nobody can argue with the fact about the skunks and the hazes and all the other incredible things after 6 years now. It's embarrassing Kevin Jodrey's out there saying skunk is still lost. Meanwhile, 250,000 seeds plus 13,000 individual fucking people. The genetics are out there, and every skunk that's out there now smelling the skunk comes from my packs.
Yeah, bro. I mean, well, thank you for giving us the story and the background on how these amazing genetics came to be in the first place. And all that I can do is try to convince people that, the skunk is still here because, like I was trying to do earlier, get a stem rub on that sweet and sour. I mean, really, one thing consistent I've noticed, like, there's always like that back, funky skunky, like, note on the stem rubs. I mean, it may not be past a dead skunk on the road, but
The
like,
sweet and sour is not that anyway, bro. Sweet and sour skunk haze ain't an
okay.
RKS type really like that.
Okay, bro, that you remind me with the Matt Ryan. So he had a video that was posting. He posted something about RKS, and after that, I was just looking for anything that had anyone, if anyone had anything out there with RKS, and then I finally found you, which I'm grateful for because has opened this whole entire new chapter in my growing experience and where I want to go. It's like I just got done harvesting my last skunk number one from AGCCO, and I'm replacing it with all of I mean everything. I'm replacing with your genetics because that's what I'm going for. I'm wanting that that old school, like,
Have you got, sorry to interrupt, man, have you got more of that lemongrass cilantro? So you've got more of those seeds to pop.
yeah, I got more of
Oh, you're
those
gonna
seeds.
when you get a nice female out there, you're gonna love that one, bro.
Okay, bet. Yeah, bro. Because
She's
like,
beautiful.
oh, and also I wanted to ask you, so like whenever you're picking your males, what were like the other males looking like and what do you look for in a male that you want to use?
Only really the same as what everybody says, you know. Listen, the best answer anyone can give you is you take a male and you test its progeny, right? But I don't bullshit people. I tell the truth about how my genetics came into being. Um, I've always been in the middle of nowhere on the most basic kind of level, doing things on a in prohibition. So I've not had that luxury, but I have been blessed nonetheless with phenomenal fucking males. And how I came about mine is what most people say, even though it's not really the best answer, it's the true answer. But I couldn't give a fuck whether it's the best answer or not because the progeny have been fucking phenomenal. And yeah, when I think about what has been found in my packs, I should be happy with what I've achieved in the last 6 years because there's been phenomenal plants found and bred with. Most people breed with my genetics, and the traits pass. They're fucking strong in many different ways, and yeah, phenomenal genetics. So, however, I
Yeah,
came
bro.
by my males. Ultimately, I came by my males because they're blessed me by God, you know, as everything is. So, the skunks, the hazes, and all the phenomenal fucking genetics I've got, you know, is thanks to God for keeping me alive in that fire. When I was given 2 hours to live, I'm still here. And I've put out these seeds and done all that work since, thanks to God. Let's make that point clear. But anyway, the males, most people say strong structure, good morphology, you know, or stem rub. And that's basically it. If you've got an excellent looking plant with strong branching, a great morphology, a good aesthetic, super strong, um, and with a potent fucking stem rub, yeah, you're naturally going to select for that. And yeah, that's what it's been, you know. And I've
Cool.
always been lucky. Then when those males have gone into full flower and all that, they've obviously had no herm traits, and they've gone on to be super nice. Like that first male I ever used to make the first original preservation, blessed with that one. Never seen a male with flowers like that since. He was just awesome. Excellent male. The second male that went on to breed the Boss Pack and the Tip Town tickets, that was just a gorgeous dark green velvet leafed, medium-sized leaf, medium-sized plant, classic sort of Christmas tree style structure, and like a little evergreen Christmas tree, really, yeah, and just fucking beautiful. What I call classic skunk tips, which is just like a plain raunchy skunk, but without anything like none of other nuances, no crazy ammonia or anything, but just like a pungent, like the animal. If you were to smell, the animal, like a
Yeah.
polecat, ferret, that kind of musky, skunky smell. So
Hmm.
he was fucking awesome and produced incredible offspring. Really fucking has changed the game. Um, and then the last male to make the last lot. In all honesty, I did two separate kind of breedings there. I did one where I had multiple males and pollinated with them, and I had another polytunnel where I just used one burnt rubber skunk haze male. So various things on my current menu have got different fathers, as it were. But yeah, those fathers in the mixed one, there was a excellent blueberry male. There was a really nice fat squat uh, rubber skunk male again, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Two males that went down to it. There was another one. I think he had like his roast chicken smell to him. It was interesting, so I used him. Um,
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I
yeah,
figured I. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that was it, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like I figured I'd ask since like with the males I was talking about that I'm doing something with. This is the first time I've kept males since I started growing with my dad back in like 2016 till now. Like these are the first males I've kept, and solely because of the stem rub alone had me sold, along with of course like I believe in everything that surrounds these genetics and what everyone has said. So yeah, I mean why not throw one out there and then whatever females, because I want to clone like these sweet and sours and these terptowns, and hopefully I'll have enough time in the year. I don't know this, and I don't grow outdoors. This is another thing. So it's like, you know, got because all this is just kind of open pollination out in my little garden outside. So want to clone whatever females I get out of these, and then maybe put the mothers out there. And as far as the males, I just want this gene pool to, stay, within itself. Um,
Yeah, it's the
and
best way, bro.
yeah, I mean, I know, like, I did, like, I crossed, I did try crossing the RKS with, my Mac and a skunk number one. But that was really, you know, the Mac number one was really
Capulet is somebody, for example, who bought my seeds. Check this out, just because you mentioned Mac One. In the early days, Capulator hit me up, emailed me. I felt I might have shown the email in the early days, or showed that he sent it anyway. Yeah, so he sends me an email. Oh, I'd really like to try Old Timer One Genetics. So he gets a Pheno Hunters pack, fucking buys the seeds off me, and then I join his forum and he bans me the same fucking day. Can you believe that shit? He's just one of countless dozens out there breeding with my work. But as you mentioned, Mac, fucking yeah, Capulator's had my seeds and fucking no doubt bred with him.
you said Kaepernick?
Capulator.
Oh, calculator.
Yeah,
Man.
Capulator, yeah. He's the breeder of Mac 1.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're just I know that there were some testers that I got. I don't remember who I got them from, and like I grew them out, had one seed left, and I remember like, me and my wife, we liked the smell of it, and you know, but that's that, I so I tried to this is my first attempt in trying to make seeds, right?
Right.
So but I pulled the motherfuckers way too early. I got too excited and cut them down, and so now I kind of wanted to ask you, like, if you're gonna pollinate a female, do you just let that motherfucker go as long as, like longer than what you normally would for the to make sure the seeds are mature?
If you've got the luxury of time, you can. You hear people saying, "Oh, they let it go 10, 12 weeks and yada yada until the plant's absolutely dead and this, that, and the other," which no doubt will produce some excellent seeds. But also, really, after 6 to 8 weeks, you'll see in most cases um, seeds are fully matured. So it's really up to you when you chop them. But it basically just test, just open up a little, open up a little bit of flour with some seed in it, take the seed out, and if it's fully brown, fully matured, you'll know. Or if they're starting to fall out of the plant a little bit, maybe got some calyxes pollinated lower down. They often they'll split open and fall out when they're like that. They'll be ready. But if they're popping out of their cases and you can see the brown seeds expose themselves, that'll be fine. There's no great benefit, I don't think, in leaving them too long.
All right,
In any
cool.
case, I've never left them crazy long, like 8 weeks and done, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, see,
generally, as I say, after 6 weeks, you'll start to see lots and lots of pretty much fully matured seeds.
cool, bro. Yeah, I mean,
I like to
I'm
pollinate as early as possible. I like to pollinate those females early as possible. Seems to have done me well. I get plenty of fucking seeds, and yeah, I don't wait until there's particularly huge flower development on the female. I just
oh, that's a
pollinate
good point. That's a
early as
good
fuck.
point. I didn't think about that. Like if someone would be like, well, yeah, should there be more flower development so more pollen can hit it, but you're saying it doesn't really hasn't really mattered in your experiences.
No, I pollinate early, man. I get tons of seeds.
Cool. Oh yeah, bro. I mean, that's one thing is like, I may have some questions that some people may be like, bro, what? How don't you know that? But, you know, I've been taught that there's no such thing as a dumb question. And
No,
like,
man. Listen, other people might say, "Oh, they don't do it until like week 4 or something." So this big ass fucking flowers almost developed, and then hit it with a load of pollen. But I've always just done it early as possible. And yeah, for sure, I didn't think there was nothing. There's nothing wrong with that question, man.
oh yeah, bro. Awesome, awesome. Oh, you said because you were talking about Morocco earlier,
Yeah,
in the hoop houses. So, um, I forget who is in Morocco in the forum, but he's
yeah, yeah.
some who?
Mr. Sauer.
Mr. Sauer?
Yeah, he's not called that on our Telegram, but he's been a guest on our other podcast on IG's. I don't know if he's on there now, but on IG's known as Mr. Sauer. On most of his socials, he's Mr. Sauer. Yeah,
Okay, because like after he I was looking at like the videos and like how they do things up there. I was really interested in how they're producing hash and all that, and got me looking into like the land races there, like why maybe the resin production is from the UV. I don't know. I started going into a big rabbit hole, but what I'm getting at is the hash that they produce out there is have you had any? Like,
yeah. I used to
yeah,
smoke 100 grams a week when I was out there.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I smoked a lot of hash out there. Sorry
Oh,
to laugh,
so
just because it is like, yeah, I smoked a lot of, mate. I smoked hash from morning to night, from fucking from when I woke up to I went to sleep.
hell yeah, man. I mean, okay. So because to give you a little insight here, you go at least where I am, the state I'm in, um, you want to get hash. Well, you know, I don't know anyone like outside of the dispensary that has hash. At least what I'm looking for. And
Yo,
whenever
you
you
should
go,
link up with Closed Loop Bubble on our Telegroup, man. Fucking hell. If you want hash, hit up Closed Loop Bubble if you're in the States.
yeah,
Fucking yeah, man, he's the man. He makes some
Oh yeah,
fucking fire, bro. Check out his Instagram if you haven't, and I'll ask him to post some photos maybe in our group later. He makes some fucking serious stuff, bro.
that'd be cool. Because I don't have much experience with hash, sadly, because like, anytime I've gotten it from the dispensary, you know, and I may get my wording wrong here because, like I said, I'm not that too knowledgeable or anything, but it looks like dry sift, um,
Yeah,
like type hash, and like, and I'm like, okay, well, I could sprinkle this, but you know, I'm used to seeing pictures of it like balled up, like brown, and like I'm looking at this and like, what is this? Like the bottom. Okay, so I try to form it. I got it to form. Melted it a little bit, rolled it around, but then like I couldn't find a good method of consumption. So it's like, my dad, he told me like, yeah, we just put a needle like on a piece of wood and then put the ball on top of the needle, let it smolder, and then put a cup over it.
yeah.
And like, but is there any like? There's got to be a better way because every time I've tried doing that, like I
If
can
it's good
never.
quality hash, bro, you could just put it in a bong, man, and just in a bowl
Mm,
and just smoke it. Yeah,
oh,
it may take depending on quite what the form is like or its consistency or its quality. May depend. Might need to sort of take a little moment to get it lit, but once it's lit, it should be fine, man. Bong, I would say, like you guys in America, you don't have the same, I don't think, kind of history with sort of hash in the way the UK does. UK has always had fucking hash before it had lots of weed or flour, but most traditionally, like people just used to get a cigarette, break it open, put it in a Rizzler in a paper, crumble hash of various qualities into it, and just roll it up. So it's like a tobacco. But yeah, basically, UK traditionally smoked hash with tobacco, but it's not my favorite way at all. And I'm sure in America it's even less popular as a method. But bong, man, a bong should be fine. Or some people just mix it with flour, but I don't like that. I don't really like mixing flour and hash. I like one or the other, really, to experience them separately.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna experience like the hash, and I
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah, but
I see
also,
Americans after these little pipes. I don't get on with those at all, those little pipes, man. I just think a nice sized bong, fill up the bowl as you would with flour, and just once that hash is lit, man, it's a great smoke.
hell yeah, bro. Looking into the hashes and everything. I just want to go out, travel, experience. Also, like the different cultures, how they do things is cool, Um, because like I never knew the Morocco way of how they would make hash, and that's pretty dope. In
That's
my
pretty
opinion.
much. It's probably going to be one of the few places you can actually go and experience a hash culture or hash making. I think, man, because a traditional one anyway. Because I don't think Afghanistan. I think you can travel there, and it looks a beautiful country, Afghanistan, from what I've seen. But I don't think it's so easy for a regular tourist, perhaps, to go and experience the hash culture there as it is in Morocco, because it's super easy there. It's the complete opposite. That's what their country's pretty much, well, a lot of the north of the country is based on is hash and hash tourism.
Okay.
Um, but Afghanistan is where I would love to go, of all places. They're a total different different situation to Morocco. Morocco is fucked. They got no they got no respect for their own culture, their own history. Hash. They'll just grow any bullshit Spanish feminized crap, and make hash from it. Basically, they've almost lost their indigenous, what they call bildia, their local variety, what they started with. That makes some of the nicest hash, even to this day. They might grow, you know, well-known hype strains out there, but the smoke on the local top quality bildia is much better. The flavour is often nicer. There's some nice flavoured hashes out there, and they started to make some different statics and stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, they're just pure business, pure commercialism, and I'm much right rate higher the Afghans, because when you watch the videos of their hash markets and the markets that they meet up and show all their different hashes, you can see they got pride and love for their products and what they've made. And it's not just purely money to them. It's obviously a factor, but they've got, they enjoy smoking their own traditional varieties with all their different flavors and effects. I would love to go to those markets and, experience all those different hashes. Pisses all over fucking Morocco. You get some all right hash out in Morocco, don't get me wrong, but they're Afghans on another level to quality hash.
Yeah, I mean, the capitalistic mindset has definitely changed parts of, you know, the the industry as far as standards and whenever it comes to just having that relationship as if it were whenever you don't really have a drive to do so because of the money. It's more of the passion or like what you're looking to get out of it, not just to turn
Well,
a
the
product.
difference between Morocco and Afghanistan is Morocco is a short hop from Spain and Europe, so they're heavily influenced by what that market is asking for. And obviously, Afghanistan is nowhere near, and they're in their mountains still doing everything traditional. So it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, and speaking of people keeping things traditional, another thing I'd like to experience is like going and um because I was been looking really into land races, really trying to get up to speed on that, but that's a big can of worms I'm trying to sort through. But one thing I learned is like, okay, a land race is actually like a domesticated, it's actually domesticated, but it's been domesticated from that.
Generations of breeding
Yeah,
from yeah, yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, man,
and
that's it. This is a common misconception. People used to, I don't know, maybe it's not the same now, but I remember back in the day, people would think, not back in the day, but sort of in recent back in the day, people would hear the word land race and assume it's shit or think it's shit. The connotation was, oh, shit, it's going to be, you know, just shit, bushweed type thing, just brickweed, that's what they would think. Um, but no, the facts are, wow, Afghanistan, for example, to use those guys, their plants look absolutely fucking outrageous compared to some of the shit cookie infested garbage you see being grown outdoors elsewhere in the world today. And yeah, because those varieties have been, yeah, they might be traditional and pure and whatever, but they've been selected over time to be excellent. So, and that would be the same for other farmers in other parts of the world, mostly, in other
right,
cannabis producing regions.
and
You
it's
know,
it's like I want to because if they're breeding towards a specific high, I want to know, I want to experience that uh uh like let's say go to Afghan and experience what they are breeding towards to and then go somewhere else and just expand my palate. Have you had much experience in like just traveling and trying pure land races or
not so much traveling, but I've grown quite a few in the early days, especially because that was what I was more interested in. Because the UK, the UK was dominated in terms of what you could buy in the street with just fucking cheese basically for about a decade. So when I started growing, I wanted to experience stuff that you couldn't get anywhere else. So in the early days, I grew things like Malawi Gold from Seedsman. Seedsman Seeds had a good Malawi Gold option in the early days, and I grew that. I grew some other things like Hindu Kush, Oh, I've grown some Ethiopian. What else did I grow in the early days? What else did those guys have? Uh, Trying to think, man, because I grew out their early catalogue, which was quite heavily fucking landrace based. I specifically remember the Malawi Gold because that was a very good offering, and they had a hash plant as well, traditional. Oh, their Afghan was good as well. I grew their Afghan. Um, so yeah, I've grown a little landrace, and old timer one stuff is heavily influenced because he literally had varieties in his work from and in his collection from every cannabis producing region on earth. There's not anyone you could name that he didn't. Literally everywhere in Africa, all over India. He had Africa and India covered, and Thailand and Panama, Colombia, all the South Africa. He did have South Africa and North Africa, but yeah, all of Africa, literally every fucking country in Africa that is known for a local sort of well-known landrace variety, he had them from. Say Thailand, Philippines. Where else did he have them from? New Zealand. He had all the early skunks and hazes from America. He had Panama, Pakistan, Afghanistan, everywhere. There's literally no place you could name where he didn't have something from. And as you say, we say, they were well selected land races that had already been grown for generations by the local farmers in those areas. So he was already working with, good genetics. He was also a master of selection, I have to say, give him credit. And he did phenomenal breeding. So yeah, people, when I first grew my seeds, it did look like the 1985 catalog, seed bank catalog come to life. You could clearly see Mexicans and Colombians and Afghans and Thais. And yeah, I've spotted like plants from all over the world in his work of the decades I've been growing his genetics.
Oh yeah, bro. And whenever you were buying and growing those genetics, did you look into um like if they would like which ones would probably grow best in your area, or you just kind of send it?
No, it was just really pretty much always a case of popping as many seeds as I could and getting them in the ground and just seeing how they grew and what caught my caught my eye really, what took my fancy, what appealed to the senses. So yeah, I've never had the time in one location, any one location really, to sort of successively not grow over years and years in that one spot to acclimatise and pick something that's particularly apt for that condition. And also, especially in some places in Europe, you might get an excellent fucking season one year and an absolute diabolical in terms of weather, and then an absolutely diabolical one the next year, where you have wind and rain and your plants are getting smashed to bits at the end of harvest, in some places like where I've experienced. And then another year, you'll get an incredibly hot and dry and perfect growing season, but then nearly burned to death as well. So yeah, I've not done all that, but no, basically the genetics are phenomenally fucking strong in all departments anyway. Let's face it. In the last 6 years, they've been grown, as I say, around 30 different countries, every state in America, all over Canada, all over the UK, all over Europe, in the Caribbean, fucking everywhere. And yeah, through snowfall, through extreme drought and heat, they just anywhere you plant them, they survive and they thrive. And anything you grow them alongside them, they outperform. And that's just a fact, It's just been a proven fact. And again, that's why my accounts and stuff on Instagram have been constantly targeted, and just been a campaign against these genetics, really. Because this is a sad thing, it's a sad. I almost don't want to go into it, because in the early days where you weren't aware of what I was doing, as I say, in 19 and 2020, It's all big controversy and bullshit with idiots like Matt Riot, etc., trying to say this English guy, even though I'm Welsh, but the British guy didn't have skunk and he hasn't got this and he hasn't got that. And then, you know, I was driven back then to kind of, I was a lot more of a different character almost. If you listen to the early podcasts, I was a lot more fucking, I don't know, driven and loud and combative in the face of the opposition I was and the slandering I was getting. But like at this point of my time, I'm on the way out. I don't really give a fuck about what any idiot says in the community. I don't feel like telling stories and even giving justifications and testimonials and this amount of skunk's been found and this bit. And I just don't give a fuck anymore. I'm looking to clear up my existing stock and pretty much disappear again. I know what I've done. I've seen the impact on the gene pool. I've seen the transformation from going through the 2010s and the bullshit fucking cookie periods, the tiny purple LED tortured pea fucking bud, period. And I've seen that absolute degeneration of cannabis, that cookies was. And then I've seen the impact of my genetics from 2020 onwards, where the flower and the aesthetic and the morphology, it's all gone back to the old school look. The buds are bigger. They've got more, there's way more old school looking plants out there than what it used to be. Those stupid, you know what I mean, man, the stupid small, tight LED tortured buds, gelato and cookies and all that absolute fucking horseshit. Thank God, most of the fucking pictures you see across Instagram and other platforms, they're not looking so much like that now. The old school flower aesthetic is back. And you've got twats, absolute fucking sad, no moral wankers that I just pity and just like, yeah, just pity. But, talking about with such kind of casual ways about the most rank and disgusting tip profiles that nobody ever spoke about prior to 2019, 2020. Talking about, oh, they've suddenly got the most rankest this, the most disgusting that, the most putrid this, the body odor that, the corpse this skunk that. All shit nobody was talking about and nobody had prior to 2019, 2020. And it's like they've all got some silly stuff. Like the amount of things that, traditionally never used to produce any fucking skunk, which is now suddenly, super skunk. Everyone's finding, rank skunk and super skunk. Let me tell you, super skunk all through the fucking 90s. And especially in anything you get now that's purported to be super skunk, don't smell like skunk, the fucking animals. It's a totally different kind of smell. The Sensi Seeds fucking super skunk wasn't that kind of fucking skunk. But now some of these twats are all finding skunk in that. So everyone's fucking renaming shit. And I just see plants with my morphology, my aesthetic, my profile descriptions, so they think I don't fucking know. It's obvious. I put out nearly 300,000 seeds. Where do you think they fucking gone? Who do you think's what do you think's happened with them? Of course, people are breeding with them. All the people that admit to growing my stuff all fucking say they're good. Like you. You've been growing since 2016. Bang, you're using a Blue Skies mail for your first mail that you keep because they're fucking amazing. They look different. They are different. People, and it's the same for everybody. And that's why a lot of idiots like Matt Riot and all these other clowns out there talk shit. Because for the first time in their life, they've been put on their ass and had a proper smoke by something from a fucking British guy. They don't like it. So much of that is a factor. So yeah, man. Anyway, sensible people like yourself and all the others are tapped in. They know the truth, and you're gonna experience even more of the truth, man, as you get some nice lemongrass, cilantro, skunk, or some Chinese lizard wine. Some of these unusual things.
Yeah, bro. And I don't doubt it. You should be happy and proud with what you've done, really. And I'm happy that you have, the support that you do around you with, the group and everything. And best thing I can do is still, you know, uh, uh, just try to. It's hard to convince people to, well, here, I'll put it like this. So, like, I had some clones, but I couldn't get someone to take one because they were scared from switching from switching off of autoflowers, and I'm just like, man, like um, if
Autoflowers are truly some of the worst genetics available. I don't care what anyone says. People get crazy butt hit about it. But the bottom line is this: no fucking plant on earth was ever improved by adding ruderalis to it. Simple as that. You don't get the most incredible photoperiod with the longest lasting highs and the most diverse highs and this, that, and the other. Then hit it with a fucking ruderalis, grow out of 4 times, fourth to the fourth generation at least, and then grow out the progeny of that, and ever do you find a plant equal to or better than the fucking original photo period. Absolute nonsense. It's training wheels for kids. If you want to do your first plant cycle through with a fucking autoflower just to see how a plant develops from start to finish, okay. But apart from that, I can't. Oh, and people say, oh, they've got no space, they've got no heights, they've got this, they can only finish a fucking autoflower in their region. There's always so many excuses for it, but I just, yeah, they're just not for me. They're always a fucking mediocre mids high. I've had some nice
yeah,
flavors people have shown me, but the bottom line is they are always an inferior quality smoke to, a photo peer, especially if someone's taking anything, any well-known good variety that's a photo period, then they make an auto version of it. Never is the auto version better. So why fucking bother? Why compromise on quality?
yeah. And I feel like people are just mostly sold on the fact of they're sold on how much flour it can produce. It can produce, even if that, I don't know the yield, what they're yielding now, but I feel like, they don't have no veg. So people are like,
It's
really,
like it's the illusion of convenience, It's
yeah,
like
yeah. And
McDonald's and cannabis.
And I feel like what the plant is telling us as a whole is like whenever you start taking shortcuts and start, you know, and not taking your time with it and giving it the respect and, love it deserves, it's gonna affect the results. I've from an autoflower to a commercialized photo period. I mean, the love that a commercial grown photo period versus you know, a tent grown photo period, I feel like you can tell the difference there. It's just I don't know. Whenever money just drives a whole bunch of bullshit, and I just hope that because this is a new grower and this is his first, grow with, he's starting with autoflowers, and I don't know. I've showed a couple people like the old podcast whenever I was, listening to, the Prepared Farmer podcast and all that and trying getting people on, but it's just so hard. People are um just I don't know. Like I
It's the
I don't
state
know.
of the world, bro. This is the state of the world we're in today. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean,
it's not the same.
denial. Denial will cripple you at the
I
end.
just think yeah, man. It's just symptomatic of society as a whole these days, man. People
Uh,
don't want, yeah. The truth's not for everybody these days for some reason.
yeah, that's for sure. Well, I actually wanted to ask you, so what do you use as nutrients? Do you use like what's your uh ball game there? You know?
I like doing fermented fruit juices really most recently. That's because it's super easy. Especially one reason is I'm often in the middle of nowhere with no shops around or no modern conveniences. So it's pretty much easier to buy a whole bunch of different fruit, bananas, pineapple, watermelon, peaches, mango, stuff like that. Um, I'm just basically chop it up, blend it up, and add an equal weight of brown sugar in a sterile bucket. This is all I've ever done. Some kind of sterile container. Leave it for 10 days or so, and then just drain it off. Once it reaches that certain point of not quite full alcohol, I guess. Just it's got some fermentation going on, and basically 10 days, 7 to 10 days. I think you can't go wrong. drain it off and just use that. I've always used it anywhere from 5 to 10 milliliter, really. So often, if I'm outdoors doing big grows and plants that's on the ground, in the ground, I'll just chuck it in by eye into a big giant container. It doesn't really matter. You can't really do any harm and burn your plants with it in those sort of situations. So yeah, man, rough and ready. Ferment up some nice fruits, make a nice fermented fruit juice, and just feed it to them pretty as strong as they can take it, and they love it.
That's awesome, bro. Because I'm glad that you went in depth with that because I'm trying to segue myself into doing more natural things than bottle nutrients. Right now I'm running Humboldt's Own. I'm starting to get to the end of my bottles, and so do you use that throughout your whole grow, the FFJ?
Yeah, 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 pretty much, bro. That's what I did last time round. I did
Yeah,
it. I did it towards the end of the first time I was out there doing it, and I liked it. So the second time, that's all I did was that, because it was a pain in the ass trying to get anything else, any other form of nutrients. So I just used cow shits and stuff like that. Those kind of things out there. But yeah, I think most places you can find brown sugar and you can find fruit. So it's good. You end up with nice, clean, tasty flour, healthy plants throughout. I've never had no deficiencies with it. All the other times I've used other fucking nutrients or forms of nutrients, I've always had to use multiple things, maybe through the season to correct this or that, something maybe, nitrogen hungry, another might be more magnesium hungry. But when I fed with fermented fruit juice, never found anything across the board. So
that's cool.
if it's
Yeah.
simple and it's quite cheap and it's that easy, there'll be people out there saying, oh, you should add some squash or something, this component or that component, whatever. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there got better recipes than me. But essentially, in my experience, you can't really go wrong with getting bananas, pineapple, watermelon, peaches, and mangoes. And like I say, juice them, blend them up, as an equal weight of brown sugar. Let it just do its thing for 10 days, drain it off, and it's good to go.
Oh yeah, bro. Now, did you just kind of do your own research, or was there anything specific that people could refer to that you referred to?
Yeah, just basically look up, pretty much Google it or AI it. Just ask for some KNF or fermented fruit juice recipes. Korean natural farming KNF. There's other, there's loads of different ferments and different things you can do in that in that genre of KNF and fermented fruit juice. If you're in an area where you can get multiple different things, like another simple thing is lactobacillus. Labs. Um, it's a super easy thing to make for people. Again, you can look up exact methods and the way to do it. But in a nutshell, you just get a pan of rice. You pour hot or warm water over it. Give it a good stir. Drain off that water. It'll be saturated with starches from the rice. You can let that sit, for 3-4 days or so, somewhere warm and dark. It'll start to develop a little skin on the surface, roughly. You can skim that off and, separate the rice from that water. Oh, sorry, my bad. So start from the beginning. Get the rice in some warm water, give it a stir, filter off that, drain that rice off, and keep that water aside. Keep that water in a warm, dark place. It'll start to develop a skin. So there is no rice to separate after that. So then you just add some milk to it and leave that again for another. It can be as quick as a day. That transformation can happen. The milk will start to curdle, and you'll get like curds whey, I think it is, that type of thing, at the top of your jar or your container. But basically, you can leave it longer than that. Some people will do it like leave that water for 3, 4, 5 days, then add your milk, and then leave that for a good 3, 4 days. And that's basically once you've drained off the liquid from the curds. And you can add brown sugar to preserve it and keep it in the fridge for a month, or you can use it, quicker. It's up to you. But that's how simple it is. Basically, rice wash water with milk added and left to curdle. It's that simple, yeah. So anyone can do that, and
That's all about some. Oh,
it's good
God.
for roots and stuff. And I'm sure it's got other things, but most people use it for having a nice root zone. I think pretty much a healthy root zone.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, it's all about simplicity with me because I mean, I may have to go back on this video, write down what you said, and then give it a shot because
I'd encourage anybody basically just to Google FFJ, KNF, and labs and just copy what they say. I've given you the most simple, basic method of doing these things. You'll find better recipes for the fermented fruit juice to ensure you've got perhaps a wider spectrum of nutrients. But I can say for sure, just doing what I've outlined will give you good, healthy plants.
awesome.
I've used everything. I like the ferments and the labs now, but I've used everything same as everybody else has had available. I've used advanced nutrients, I've used BioBiz, I've used Earth Juice, I've used over here something called Plant Magic, I've used Canna, I've used product, I've intermingled, I've mixed things from everybody. When I've done different grows indoors and over in the UK and abroad outdoors. I've used everything and anything, use what you can. And most things fucking work, and I can make most things work. But now
Yeah,
I do just like simple organic inputs.
yeah. That, whenever you were starting to say something about the milk, that reminded me of the episode that you had someone on saying something about like milk and honey.
Yeah, yeah. He's a British guy as well, actually. Yeah. I've not done that myself, but he seems to have a lot of success with it. And
Yeah,
I think other people do as well.
didn't he
Definitely,
get like a crazy yield off of something like that?
yeah,
Yeah,
he did get a huge yielding outdoor plant with one of my skunks, and I guess he must use milk and honey. I think he said he got like 150 ounces. It was a
that's fucking nuts, bro. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I might have to give the milk and honey a go one day. Maybe you can get. I'm pretty sure I could find him on Instagram. You could get him on as a guest, and he can maybe elaborate more on it, bro. Tell us
That'd be
exactly.
cool. Yeah, bro, that'd be cool. That'd be dope to have him on and talk some milk and honey.
I'm sure.
Awesome.
I'm sure there's got to be something to it. I could see certainly honey having a lot of, perhaps good natural honey having a lot of benefits.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I started looking into it a little bit afterwards, but yeah, there were a whole bunch of beneficial properties to the milk and honey. I think I was at work on my lunch break, kind of looked into it a little bit, didn't really go into too deep, but yeah, I mean, and you know, that's one thing. It's just like, I mean, cannabis also makes me realize like there's so much diversity whenever it comes to this, to what people use for nutrients, what people use for lights, what people think about this, what people think about that. I mean, and uh that's one thing I'd like to um I talk about on this channel is just all everyone's diversities and you know how everyone makes their own thing work and like because there's just so much to learn and um I feel like with having those diversities you can use them as a strength. Definitely like how you are limited to what you're able to get, and you share your experience, and now maybe others are in that same position or whatever. So it's great, great topics there.
Well,
Um,
we've got a lot of people in our group and on our Telegram group, and just probably you'll probably find guests listening to the show will reach out to you and stuff like that.
yeah, bro. I mean, I hope so because just want to build a little something here, kind of with with the same dynamic as what we kind of got going on. Just and I like to focus on certain things that I feel like are missing from other channels. We're not going to be clout driven or anything like that. It's just transparent discussion, really, you know? So, oh yeah.
Well, I think you made a good first start with this episode, not just because I'm on it, but in general, bro. So I think you, yeah, I think this is probably a better first episode than my first episode on the first time I did a podcast. So
Oh, you're just saying that, man. I appreciate that, really, for real. And I appreciate you being on here, man. I never thought, man, I'd be talking to you, really, because I'm just listening at you uh sharing what you have and like what I've been looking for and like and then exposing me to why it's been so hard. Like I don't know, everything's just making sense and like whenever I was listening to you and like just
it's
had
the
a lot
same
of
age-old things of money and ego, bro.
yeah,
Everybody wanted to be the one to bring skunk back. There'd been like 20 years of people lying about doing it before me, you know. Every time some clown had said they've got this new skunk or a skunk, people grow the seeds and find fuck all.
yeah,
And then when somebody actually came on the scene who actually did have skunk, there was that to combat, like the skepticism and perhaps the fucking deserved skepticism, you know, because literally there'd been so many people. I could name at least about half a dozen that I can remember in the last 20 years that, you know, came out with a story, got their fucking RKS and met Hell's Angel and this, that, and the other, some bullshit. And I can't release the seeds. If I do, they'll kill me. Oh, go on, then you've twisted my arm. I'll let them out for this much. And then people buy them and find absolutely fucking zero skunk. So that happened multiple times. There's multiple bullshit stories, and people got sick of it and really thought it had gone and was lost. And then, a, at that time, a loud and brash kind of British guy, who, just came out of nowhere, said everybody's fucking genetics were a load of shit, and fucking the skunk was much better, and this, that, and the other. He had the best genetics. I did, and I do because of Old Timer One. But that aside, as I said at the start of the show, bro, I just don't care so much now. I'm more of a chilled out character than when I first popped on the scene. So when I first popped on the scene, I had literally sort of just come back to life from fucking nearly being burned to death, and I had a lot of energy and drive to sort of like regain what I'd lost at that period. You know what I mean? And,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
only took me out for one fucking season. I was literally as soon as I could walk again, I was back at it. So yeah, but now I'm chilled. I've had 6 years to see what the community is, what the so-called community is really like, especially really the community of seed breeders, seed makers, that sort of thing. Not the average grower and the listener of these podcasts, but people actually, known and respected. Allegedly, I've seen it all, and I've seen the reactions of lots of people. And I've just reached that point where I just don't give a fuck. So I'm kind of a lot sort of lower energy, as it were, in terms of when I do podcasts and things now, or when I talk about even what I've done. And it's just a lot more low key because I just don't fucking care. I'm not out to try and impress or prove anything, you know? I've done that. I've smashed it. I've fucking, the amount of phenomenal plants that have been only ever 5 to 15% of people who've bought seeds have ever fucking shown their grows at any one time. And just those people have shown thousands and thousands of incredible plants, you know? As I say, I've seen my impact on the gene pool and the wider community. They might not give credit for it, but to somebody who's grown, like myself, tens of thousands of my own fucking plants and genetics and seeds, I know what is out. I know what my stuff produces, and I see it fucking everywhere with all these clowns who've suddenly found, and even people that have bought my seeds, even people, for example, I'm not going to name this fellow. If he ever hears this, he's going to know who he is. But he's just one of countless other fucking dozens of clowns like it. There's even been people who've bought my seeds, raved about them. It's the greatest thing they've ever fucking grown. And then a year or so later, they'll release seeds and they'll be with a description full of hyperbole. It's justified actually because they are fucking insanely loud, as you're going to see. and diverse. And especially, I think the actual first Tip Town tickets was, I prefer to the Tip Town tickets 2.0 because there's literally three times as many different plants in there. But the point is, a year later they'll grow, they'll release some seeds, and they'll be given a tip description that's fantastical and awe-inspiring, and capturing the imagination. They've really gone to town on it, and there'll be no mention that it came from my packs. And then I'll just comment on, oh, is that bread from my packs, bro? Yeah, it is, man. I just forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
So there's even people that have in the past given credit and this, that, and the other, now not giving credit. So, but I've not. That's not what I'm about. I don't care, bro. That's what I'm saying. I'm at the end of this game. I've got things hopefully now just start to go off in the background in a different direction. And yeah, I'm not looking to be around much longer. I'm just going to get rid of this current seed stock, and that'll be that. Katsu Seeds, right? Hilarious. He was on a private forum I was on
Uh-huh.
just before I released Seeds, yeah. And so he knew for sure I had the skunk. I've got the post. I've posted it numerous times. I've got it on one of my phones. I'll have to post it later or tomorrow. And it's his post. That big picture I often put up of that nice little patch of skunk in the sun towards the end of flower. Um, and then you may not have seen it, but it's one I've
No.
posted a lot of. He actually reposted that with a big caption underneath. This is like 2020, early 2020, I think it's stated. And it's like, oh, my friend in the UK, BlueSkiesVienna, he's got these amazing skunks from Old Timer One. Because I was actually going to work with a fellow to a collab with him, or let him do something with my seeds and put them out there, because he was hitting me up going, man, you've got the skunks, I've got the platform. I didn't make any money releasing Bubba to the community, but now you've got this skunk, we can just like his literal words in one of these sentences was, how can we get as much this is outrageous even to say, and this is why I fucked him off. But how can we make as much money as possible from your skunks from the community? Now, I can understand that as being like a business outcome to want to make money, but literally, how can we make as much money from the community as possible with your skunks? He said. And I was like, well, fuck this guy about that, and then I just didn't have anything more to do with him. And then, well, a year or two later, he's got a fucking 80 skunk.
That's crazy,
Found
bro.
out of nowhere.
That's crazy.
But he's
Yeah,
just
bro.
one of literally, probably hundreds, certainly dozens, but perhaps more than a fucking hundred out there, certainly. And yeah, there's hundreds out there fucking breeding with my work, which is good. What they don't realise, I'm not super bothered anymore that they don't give credit. I was more disappointed for all the people that didn't do that in the early days, because I was like everybody else. I thought a lot of these people were cool until I fucking found out, or till they'll be cool with you if you're hitting them up in DMs, sucking them off and saying, hey, your genetics are awesome, can I buy a pack? But if you're somebody who's doesn't fucking rate their genetics and is out there saying you've got better, and then people are proving it, you suddenly become a figure I hate. So that's what it's been with them. But I don't get that neither, because now it's going to sound arrogant, but it's just facts. It's not possible for anyone else now to come out and do what I've done. So there's nobody else out there who could come out and drop a genetic bomb basically on a fucking sterile, fucked up, homogenized, inbred, absolute garbage, mono tip, fucking high THC, cookie infested 10 minutes of fucking boredom gene pool, and drop in, bang, a huge fresh ejection of skunks, hazes, and heirlooms from the 60s to the 90s, unrelated to anything else out there, with tips fucking much louder, much more diverse, highs the same, like almost a different fucking subgenre of cannabis that's vastly superior to what has been deliberately destroyed by people like Sam Skunkman, Dave Watson, and from him onwards, right up to Burner, with what is the absolute epitome of shit cannabis, basically, which is cookies. And that's
Yeah.
another reason. That's another reason the industry hates me, because they were all a bunch of fucking idiots who got on that cookie hype train and bred the fuck out of it for money. And, that was all it was, because it is not good in any way, shape, or form. It's crap.
No, but I remember. So whenever the cookie hype train first came through. And that was whenever I was hooking people up with good flour. But then people started going and getting like the best flour that they could get their hands on the streets. They go to, I'm not gonna say what smoke shop, but smoke shop. And who knows how many other smoke shops would do this, but they would have the fake cookie bags, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that you could buy, and then you could stick a one of them like serial numbers on it, whatever, had the sticker on it, and right there, bam, you're selling a $60 eighth. It was crazy. It was really fucking crazy. Um, just what that bag did, you know. Uh, yeah, and that makes me think, man. Like with all this money drive, it really you see it at least in the state I'm in. Because I was a bud tender there for a minute, and then basically short or long story short left because they we would get free samples, like free concentrate samples for us to try, and then to let the patient know like how it is and all that. And remind you, this is whenever it's brand new, first, one out of the first 10 dispensaries that opened up in the state. And shortly after, it was, you couldn't get the free sample. It was whoever sold most merchandise out of the glass cases that
Um,
would get the free samples. And then, and I was looking into the licenses. So there's around 1,200, 1,000 applications submitted for cultivation. Okay. And these cultivation facilities and these applications, you have to have your facility all put together, your inspections. It's basically got to be all done. So you invest all this money, and um, only like I think like 300 people got the applications, but whenever you looked at it, there was businesses that had like multiple um cultivation facilities. So then it boiled down to like, whenever the dispensaries first opened, there's like one or two cultivators that were supplying, bro. That's how they got that shit. And then, so with that being said, it was all built on a medical foundation. That was it
yeah.
was medical patients coming in, you know, and I considered every single person I talked to was a patient, okay, in my eyes. They were not a customer, you know, and that's why it hurts so bad whenever you see recreational come into play. The medicinal foundation that is at the that all this is built off of is basically kicked to the side, and we don't have the recreational side of things is the focus in the dispensaries, and it's clear.
Well, that's really what that really is just focusing on the money, isn't it, and not the
Yeah,
medicine. And that is the same worldwide from what I've seen. I don't know anywhere that's got what you would call a good medical system. In the UK currently, it's a complete fucking joke. You've got basically recreational kind of what you'd find in a Dutch coffee shop in Amsterdam type menus being offered to, you know, they've legalized recreational cannabis under a fake backdoor of medical because you can now in the UK, much following like the early days of California in the US, obviously, you can go to a doctor's. It's not you can go to a certain clinic, a special cannabis clinic, yeah, and you can get some guy to tell you, give you a prescription for anything. Oh, I've got a bad finger. Oh, you can have cannabis. Any bullshit excuse, obviously, gets you a prescription. So you go and do that. You pay for the consultation, and then you pay for the prescription, and you get offered. From what I've seen, vast majority of it is really, really just shit quality. It's like gelato 41, or just non something that's got no medicinal value, basically. And the only people really tapping into this, for the main part, are kids who want, obviously they're over 18, but young kids, basically young people who want to be able to get a prescription, go and then replace whatever they buy with something cheaper from the street, which is often better, and then carry that around with them, their prescription, their legal weed. So if they're bothered in the street by the police when they're smoking, they can just whoop out their prescription and go, yeah, I'm legal. That's really all it is. So it's a big money making scam for the government. They're getting money from the consultations and from the fucking taxes and the weed and all the rest is from the sales. And meanwhile, genuine, actual people that then think, oh, I can get medical cannabis finally if you are genuinely ill with some form of whatever. All they then get access to is shit hype weed, shitly grown hype strains with no medicinal value. So it's just an absolute shit show from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's a
Yep.
money making scam for to legalize cannabis, recreational cannabis, through the guise of medicinal, and fleece and not offer proper fucking medicine to those who need it.
Yeah. I can't. Oh, hold up. Running out of time. Meaning,
Yeah, I guess we should kind of sort of conclude this episode, bro, and then we can catch up next week again. Because I reckon with all these three ones that we've done, you'll definitely stitch together a good podcast. And also, people's retention is not the best on super long episodes. Just to give you that tip as well.
awesome. Thanks, bro. Yeah, bro. I mean, we definitely I mean, I had a great time talking to you, and
Oh, definitely, bro. I
yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah, bro. And we'll definitely have to do it again. Feel like we just are at the tip of the iceberg as far as how far we can go and talk about things. So
Oh, 100%, man. I hope you make it a regular thing.
awesome. All right, bro. Well, hey, I hope you have a great day. Thank you again for being on here. And yeah, bro, I'll hit you up.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate being your first guest, and wish you success with this podcast. And looking forward to the next episode, man.
Awesome. Thanks, bro.